Every husband's nightmare. I caught my wife and my cousin in my parents' shower. The shower, the smirk, and the camera I forgot I installed. Hey folks, I'm Mason, 34. My wife is Ava, 32. We've been married 7 years, no kids, one very dramatic corgi named Pixel. I'm a UX designer, she's in brand strategy, which I've learned is code for late events and people who say vibe as a verb. We've always been more steady than sparkler. My mom Linda calls that real, while her mom Trish calls it settling disguised as security. Here's the twist up front. The night I realized my marriage was crooked didn't start with a text, a hotel receipt, or lipstick on a collar. It started in my parents' hallway, my parents, with a shower running, 2 shadows under a door, and a ping from the new smart cam I'd installed for Dad Frank, after he tripped on the stairs last month. I'd completely forgotten it was there until my phone buzzed in my pocket while I was plating deviled eggs. Context: we were throwing a big birthday for my dad. House full of aunts, uncles, cousins. Ava slid up next to me, kissed my cheek, and said she was going to freshen up in the guest bath. A minute later my cousin Caleb, yes that cousin, the one who still wears cologne like it's 2009 and calls himself an entrepreneur, sauntered down the same hall with a towel over his shoulder and a smug little grin. He said he'd spilled salsa on his shirt. Totally normal to shower at a party for salsa, I guess? My gut did a small, polite tap. I ignored it. I've always prided myself on not being the jealous type. Ava's beautiful, there's always been attention, but we've had trust. Or so I thought. 10 minutes pass. The guest bath fan is roaring. The hallway cam, it faces the stairs not the bathroom, sends me a motion alert. 2 entries into that wing a minute apart, same time frame. I silenced my phone and told myself I'd check later. Then I walked past to grab extra forks and froze. The guest bath door was almost closed, steam sneaking out, and the shadow of a shoulder moved in a way that didn't look like one person reaching for a towel. Low laughter like a shared secret. It wasn't graphic, just intimate in the way 2 people share air when they shouldn't. I knocked. All good? I called. Ava answered in her breeziest voice, 1 second. Seconds later Caleb appeared, not from the bathroom but from the laundry room, hair damp, shirt inside out. He waggled an empty detergent bottle. Disaster averted, he joked, then brushed past me with a wink. At dinner, Ava reappeared glowing in my mom's robe, said her dress needed to hang out the steam, smelling like cedar citrus I didn't recognize. Pixel curled under her chair like he was guarding state secrets. Caleb sat across, tapping his smartwatch. On Ava's wrist? Caleb's watch, just timing my curls, she said when I asked. Everyone laughed. I didn't. Little things started stacking like toothpicks, Ava's phone face down, a private joke between them about 11 minutes, that made my skin prickle. Trish posting a story captioned, "Girls who want more get it," which Ava heart reacted without blinking. My mom caught my eye from the sink, nurse radar, and mouthed, "You okay?" I smiled like a tourist. When we cut cake my phone buzzed again. Hallway cam log time-stamped. Also, and this is on me for forgetting it existed, my sister had left the baby monitor on in the guest room from earlier naps. The base unit was still on the kitchen counter. It crackled like a throat clearing. I turned the volume down, cheeks hot, and told myself I was being paranoid. I wasn't. I turned the baby monitor volume down to a whisper, telling myself I was checking for pipes rattling or the fan. Instead, I heard the kind of half-laugh I know better than my own name, Ava's. Breathier, a little conspiratorial. A man's voice followed, low and amused. The words weren't obscene, but they were very wrong in my parents' house. 5 minutes. Family's waiting. Then Ava, a playful shush, and 11. You owe me. Soft rustle, water hiss, and a clink, like a watch tapping tile. My stomach did a small elevator drop. I glanced up. At the table, Caleb raised his glass at a joke. Ava smiled too fast. Trish recorded a boomerang like she was producing a commercial. I pressed the monitor button off. Maybe the audio was from earlier? Maybe interference? I needed facts, not feelings. So I became the most cheerful plate clearer you've ever seen. On my 3rd trip down the hall, I noticed something tiny. 2 wet footprints just past the threshold of the laundry room, not the bathroom. The hallway cam, mounted above the stairs, blinked its little blue light at me like, "You sure you want to know?" I checked the clip in the pantry with the door cracked, heart drumming. Camera view, empty hall, then Caleb slipping into the laundry room first, towel on his shoulder. 30 seconds later, Ava slips past in my mom's robe, glancing over her shoulder. Both doors close. 2 minutes after that, Caleb exits the laundry room, rakes a hand through damp hair, and heads toward the kitchen. Another minute, Ava peels out of the guest bath in steam, robe cinched, hair up with one of my sister's clips, and pads to the guest room. No embrace on camera, no smoking gun, just choreography. But it choreographed the wrong dance. I set my phone down and breathed like I was in a tiny paper bag. My dad clapped me on the shoulder. Speech? I can do speeches. So I toasted him. Talked about how he fixes things that aren't broken, he does, and how he taught me that steady beats shiny over time, he did. My voice didn't shake. Ava squeezed my knee under the table. Pixel licked my ankle like you're leaking worry. After cake, I caught Ava by the sink. Everything okay? I asked, polite as a bank teller. She smiled big, too many teeth. Totally. Why? Because the guest bath is popular, I said lightly. And you're wearing my mom's robe. Oh my gosh, Mason. She rolled her eyes. I spilled salsa. Caleb grabbed me a towel. Relax. From the laundry room? I kept my tone breezy. She clicked her tongue. Do not start. At your dad's party? Then the pivot. Her hands framed my face, affectionate, a mint and citrus kiss on my cheek. You're cute when you're jealous. She sailed away with a tray like a hostess. I almost let it go. Then my phone lit up with a preview before Do Not Disturb kicked in. Ava's lock screen mirrored to our shared iPad, a glitch we never fixed. A text from C11 next time. Worth it. Finger gun emoji. The preview shrank as the screen darkened. I stared at the black glass and saw my own frown. I didn't make a scene. I helped Mom pack leftovers. I hugged uncles. When Caleb went to leave, he gave me that cousin bro hug, cologne blooming. We should do a guy's trip, he said. Reset. Where? I asked. He smirked. Anywhere with showers, I guess. He winked like we were co-conspirators and not, whatever this was. Back at our place, Pixel spun his tornado of joy and passed out. Ava dropped the robe in the hamper and emerged in my college tee, hair damp, cheeks flushed like she'd run through weather. In bed she scooted close, a palm warm on my chest. I wanted to be comforted. Instead I smelled the cedar citrus again, the kind I've never bought. She kissed my jaw and whispered, "Stop overthinking." It was a great night. I stared at the ceiling fan while she breathed even beside me. When her breath slid into sleep, I slipped to the couch with my laptop. I opened a folder I never wanted to make and named it what it was. Reality. Into it went, hallway cam clip, the wet footprint photo, the text preview I'd sketched from memory, and a screenshot of her wearing Caleb's watch at dinner. Around 2 a.m. my sister texted, "You left the monitor base here. Also, we heard something? Could be plumbing." I typed, "Thanks, probably the fan," and didn't hit send. Instead, I wrote one line in a notes app. Tomorrow, ask for passwords. Then another, or ask for the truth. I made pancakes like I was auditioning for a brunch commercial. Ava breezed in wearing my hoodie and that effortless smile that used to make me forget bills. I poured coffee, set her mug just the way she likes. Oat milk first so the crema marbles, and said, calm and sunny, after breakfast, let's do a little digital spring cleaning. Passwords, two-factor, all that. She blinked, smile held a half second too long. Since when are you IT? Since my cousin thinks 11 is a love language, I said, still polite. Her shoulders went up, then down. Mason, are we really going to be weird about towel logistics? Cool. Then phones on the island. 5 minutes. Passcodes, calendars, cloud. I slid mine across, face up, code already typed. She laughed, light and brittle. That's invasive. Then say it straight, I said. Is there anything for me to find? Something flickered, guilt or calculation. She picked up my phone, scrolled, nodded at nothing. You're so safe. She meant it as a compliment and an insult at the same time. Your turn, I said. She placed her phone down like defusing a bomb, tapped the code, opened messages and angled the screen toward me. Clean thread list. Too clean. No Caleb, no C, no nothing. She swiped to photos, recently scrubbed. iCloud, signed out. Happy. Open screen time. Her jaw set. The graph showed 6 hours yesterday with messages and camera. Deleted. I draft a lot, she said quickly. For work. Then open the drafts. She tried a grin. It wobbled. You're making paranoia a hobby. Then indulge me for 5 minutes. The mask dropped. Fine. She typed, then hesitated. In that pause my stomach finished its elevator ride. She flipped the phone back to me. A hidden album surfaced. 32 items, mostly mirror shots, the kind that are tasteful until you realize who receives them. Nothing explicit, but intimate, Bare shoulder, the curve of a knee, wet hair, that citrus cedar bottle on the counter beside her. A few photos had reflections. A man's forearm with a tiny scar I recognized from Caleb's skateboard wipeout in high school. His watch face the same as last night's. I put the phone down gently like it could bruise. How long? She crossed her arms tight as if bracing against a draft. You're overreading pixels. How long? I repeated. Ava's first defense was anger. I can't breathe in a house where everything is a cross-examination. Her second was performance. She slid off the stool to her knees on the kitchen tile, my hoodie puddling, hands up like surrender. Okay, she whispered. I messed up once. After your surgery I felt invisible. Caleb checked in. It was stupid. We kissed. I hated myself. It's over. My throat went dry. It was last night. Tears arrived on cue. He cornered me by the hall. He said your mom needed towels. I said no. I left. Mason, look at me, I chose you. I'm choosing you right now. Then hand me the hidden apps and the iCloud backup. She stared, wet lashes, then reached for my wrist and pressed a soft kiss there like a promise slide. Please don't make me the villain at your parents' house. We can move forward. Radical honesty. I'll call Caleb and end any weirdness. I'll do therapy. I'll put my phone on the table every night. Just, don't tell your mom. I opened notes on my own phone and typed while I spoke so I couldn't walk it back later. Conditions. Full passwords, written timeline, no contact, counseling, health screens. I read them aloud. Agree or don't. But the middle mush is killing me. She flinched at health screens, then nodded too fast. Yes, all of it. I swear. She swiped through settings, exposed a secondary Apple ID I hadn't seen, her maiden name with a number. She handed it over, biting her lip. There. See. I'm trying. Pixel nosed between us, worried referee. I scratched his ear to steady my hands. I'll verify. Today. Ava stood, wiped her cheeks, exhaled like a sprinter at a finish line. Can I hug you? I didn't trust my voice, so I nodded. She wrapped me up, warm and familiar, heartbeat quick, whispering into my collar. Don't tell anyone. Give me 1 day to fix it. 1 day, I said. Then truth, no edits. She promised again. And again. The words sounded thinner each time, like a song played on a worn-out tape. I took the day she asked for and used every second. While Ava showered, I logged into the second Apple ID she'd remembered. Two-factor pinged a number I didn't recognize. A beat later, her watch on the vanity buzzed, same code. I entered it and a flood opened. iCloud backups, hidden albums, archived messages. It wasn't explicit, nothing that would get a video flagged, but intimacy lives in the in-betweens. Mirror photos with damp hair and towel steam. Close crops of a smile I used to think was only mine. A wrist with Caleb's old skateboard scar grazing her waist in a reflection I wish I'd missed. The captions were worse than pictures. 5 minutes, back door, towels are the signal, and once, your cologne is in my hair. My hands went cold. I stared at the ceiling fan while she breathed even beside me. When her breath slid into sleep, I slipped to the couch with my laptop. I opened a folder I never wanted to make and named it what it was. Reality. Into it went, hallway cam clip, the wet footprint photo, the text preview I'd sketched from memory, and a screenshot of her wearing Caleb's watch at dinner. Around 2 a.m. my sister texted, you left the monitor base here. Also, we heard something? Could be plumbing. I typed, thanks, probably the fan, and didn't hit send. Instead, I wrote one line in a notes app. Tomorrow, ask for passwords. Then another, or ask for the truth. I made pancakes like I was auditioning for a brunch commercial. Ava breezed in wearing my hoodie and that effortless smile that used to make me forget bills. I poured coffee, set her mug just the way she likes. Oat milk first so the crema marbles, and said, calm and sunny, after breakfast, let's do a little digital spring cleaning. Passwords, two-factor, all that. She blinked, smile held a half second too long. Since when are you IT? Since my cousin thinks 11 is a love language, I said, still polite. Her shoulders went up, then down. Mason, are we really going to be weird about towel logistics? Cool. Then phones on the island. 5 minutes. Passcodes, calendars, cloud. I slid mine across, face up, code already typed. She laughed, light and brittle. That's invasive. Then say it straight, I said. Is there anything for me to find? Something flickered, guilt or calculation. She picked up my phone, scrolled, nodded at nothing. You're so safe. She meant it as a compliment and an insult at the same time. Your turn, I said. She placed her phone down like defusing a bomb, tapped the code, opened messages, and angled the screen toward me. Clean thread list. Too clean. No Caleb, no C, no nothing. She swiped to photos, recently scrubbed. iCloud, signed out. Happy. Open screen time. Her jaw set. The graph showed 6 hours yesterday with messages and camera. Deleted. I draft a lot, she said quickly. For work. Then open the drafts. She tried a grin. It wobbled. You're making paranoia a hobby. Then indulge me for 5 minutes. The mask dropped. Fine. She typed, then hesitated. In that pause my stomach finished its elevator ride. She flipped the phone back to me. A hidden album surfaced. 32 items, mostly mirror shots, the kind that are tasteful until you realize who receives them. Nothing explicit, but intimate. Bare shoulder, the curve of a knee, wet hair, that citrus cedar bottle on the counter beside her. A few photos had reflections. A man's forearm with a tiny scar I recognized from Caleb's skateboard wipeout in high school. His watch face, the same as last night's. I put the phone down gently like it could bruise. How long? She crossed her arms tight as if bracing against a draft. You're overreading pixels. How long? I repeated. Ava's first defense was anger. I can't breathe in a house where everything is a cross-examination. Her second was performance. She slid off the stool to her knees on the kitchen tile, my hoodie puddling, hands up like surrender. Okay, she whispered. I messed up once. After your surgery I felt invisible. Caleb checked in. It was stupid. We kissed. I hated myself. It's over. My throat went dry. It was last night. Tears arrived on cue. He cornered me by the hall. He said your mom needed towels. I said no. I left. Mason, look at me, I chose you. I'm choosing you right now. Then hand me the hidden apps and the iCloud backup. She stared, wet lashes, then reached for my wrist and pressed a soft kiss there like a promise slide. Please don't make me the villain at your parents' house. We can move forward. Radical honesty. I'll call Caleb and end any weirdness. I'll do therapy. I'll put my phone on the table every night. Just, don't tell your mom. I opened notes on my own phone and typed while I spoke so I couldn't walk it back later. Conditions. Full passwords, written timeline, no contact, counseling, health screens. I read them aloud. Agree or don't. But the middle mush is killing me. She flinched at health screens, then nodded too fast. Yes, all of it. I swear. She swiped through settings, exposed a secondary Apple ID I hadn't seen, her maiden name with a number. She handed it over, biting her lip. There. See. I'm trying. Pixel nosed between us, worried referee. I scratched his ear to steady my hands. I'll verify. Today. Ava stood, wiped her cheeks, exhaled like a sprinter at a finish line. Can I hug you? I didn't trust my voice, so I nodded. She wrapped me up, warm and familiar, heartbeat quick, whispering into my collar. Don't tell anyone. Give me 1 day to fix it. 1 day, I said. Then truth, no edits. She promised again. And again. The words sounded thinner each time, like a song played on a worn-out tape. I took the day she asked for and used every second. While Ava showered, I logged into the second Apple ID she'd remembered. Two-factor pinged a number I didn't recognize. A beat later, her watch on the vanity buzzed, same code. I entered it and a flood opened. iCloud backups, hidden albums, archived messages. It wasn't explicit, nothing that would get a video flagged, but intimacy lives in the in-betweens. Mirror photos with damp hair and towel steam, close crops of a smile I used to think was only mine, a wrist with Caleb's old skateboard scar grazing her waist in a reflection I wish I'd missed. The captions were worse than pictures. 5 minutes, back door, towels are the signal, and once, your cologne is in my hair. My hands went cold. Mom exhaled, then did the thing she does best, named the temperature. This is cruel. She looked at Ava, not unkind. And it's repeated. You didn't just slip. You planned. I tapped my phone. A voicemail I'd saved rolled through the speakers, hotel hold music, then the clerk. Yes, Ms. Ava checked in at 11:12, guest Caleb joined at 11:24, checked out at 3:49. Anything else? I'd asked about amenities, she chirped about complimentary citrus water. Ava folded, forehead to my shoe. Please, Mason. I lost my mind. I'll block him right now. I'll move to my sister's. I'll sign anything. Postnup. Transparency. I'll be holy. Don't end us. Caleb scoffed again. Ava, stand up. Don't debase yourself. Then to me, bro, this is between us. Family. He said family like he'd earned the word. Dad stood, not looming, just anchoring. You followed my daughter-in-law into my bathroom. That was the first time I'd heard him call her that out loud in weeks. It sounded past tense. Trish tried a last pivot. If you love her, you'll keep this in the family. We can craft a narrative that protects everyone. Narratives? Mom repeated like a diagnosis she'd decided against. I opened the folder and slid 2 papers across to Ava. Here's the STI panel appointment you booked. I'm driving you tomorrow. And here's a 30-day transparency agreement. Full passwords, written timeline, counseling I pick, no contact with Caleb, location sharing, reimbursements for the hotel and the card. You'll read it with a lawyer, yours, not your mom. Ava nodded fast, tears slick. Yes, I'll do it all. I'll call now. She fumbled her phone, then froze when my screen lit with a new text mirrored from her Apple ID, unsent draft, stall tonight. He's softening. The room heard the silence. My chest went cold and very calm. We're done for tonight, I said. You'll stay at your sister's. Caleb, you'll leave. Caleb smirked, but when Dad took one step, he found the door by instinct. Trish scooped the ring light she hadn't used. Jace pocketed a cupcake like a trophy. Ava tried one last time, knees, hands, the whole kneel and plead. Please, Mason. I can be new. You can be new, I said, moving toward the hall. Just not here. Pixel followed me like he'd understood every word. Day 1 of transparency looked convincing. Ava texted screenshots, blocked Caleb. Therapist booked. She shared location, pinging from her sister's condo across town. At 9:11 p.m., a gray calendar tile flickered on, then vanished. Client reset. Fat finger, she wrote, heart emoji. I logged it in a spreadsheet called Reality with tabs for charges, check-ins, and lies I want to believe. Pixel snored under my chair like a metronome. Day 3, the emergency card auto-paid a boutique hotel for day use again. Ava swore it was an old charge reposting. The clerk, when I called, said cheerful as ever, no sir, today's. Ava slid to her knees on my doormat, palms up, mascara gentle. I went to end it, she whispered. I cried in the lobby and left. My mom, who'd come by to water plants, handed her a tissue and said softly, sweetheart, endings don't need rooms. Day 5, HR at Ava's startup emailed from a neutral address. Mr. Mason, we've received an anonymous note about potential boundary concerns between an employee and a subcontractor. We may request a factual timeline. I hadn't written a word to them. Someone else had. Trish texted me 5 minutes later, we can manage this privately. Kindly refrain from gossip. Manage felt like the wrong verb for truth. Day 7, a box arrived on our porch. A ceramic soap dish addressed to Ava plus C from a boutique in town. The note, 4 hotel nights and good rinses. I photographed everything, then drove the box to my lawyer, Miss Patel, who said the sentence that has saved my sanity, keep your adjectives for therapy. Give me timestamps and policy. She drafted a post-nup that read like a seatbelt, restitution for a fair spend, device transparency during discovery, no contact with Caleb, and a clause that put Pixel in bold. Caleb didn't go quiet. He posted a skate clip captioned, some doors stay unlocked, then DM'd me, brother, don't be petty. My dad read it, nodded once and said, block. Done. Aunt June called Mom to say the family was fragile, and surely a shower is just water. Mom said, and surely respect is just air, and hung up to stir soup. Ava kept oscillating, saint in the morning, prosecutor at night. She'd bring muffins and apologies, then call me rigid for not meeting for coffee. You're obsessed with details, she snapped over speaker. In the background, I heard her sister whisper, stop. Just stop. 30 minutes later, Ava texted, you're my safe person. I'll fix it all. I'll shave my head if you need humble. The theater didn't land anymore. The balcony of my heart had closed. On day 10, the skeleton parade hit tempo. A collections notice surfaced for a card I didn't know existed, opened with Trish as cosigner. Charges read like an itinerary, hotel day use, bar tab, board shop, Caleb's. When I asked, Trish replied with a PDF labeled empowerment budget. My dad, looking over my shoulder, breathed out through his nose, a sound I've heard right before he lifts a heavy thing so it won't crush someone. Ava showed up that night with daisies and a handwritten letter. I chose Spark over shelter. I was wrong. I'll put my salary in an account you control. Please let me be boring and holy. She sank to her knees again in the entry, forehead to my shoes. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I handed her Miss Patel's post-nup and the STI appointment reminder. Start here, I said. She nodded, then my phone lit with a mirrored unsent draft from her hidden Apple ID. Stall. He's softening. Tuesday hotel? Back door. She saw it the same time I did. I heard my own voice as if from another room. Ava, that's the last draft you'll write from this house. She sobbed hard enough to curl. Please, Mason. 1 week. I called her an Uber to her sister's. My mom squeezed my shoulder. Dad fixed a hinge that didn't need it. Pixel slept with his chin on my sock like he'd finally found just enough peace to borrow. 2 mornings later, HR called. Not a rumor, an actual Zoom invite with a neutral backdrop and a woman from legal who spoke in careful commas. Mr. Mason, we're evaluating boundary concerns involving Ms. Ava Lane and a subcontractor. We'd appreciate a timeline. I opened my reality spreadsheet, stripped the adjectives and read dates, times, charges. Boutique hotel day use. The ceramic soap dish note. The shower audio without the words, just the sequence. Door, latch, second voice. When I finished, legal said, thank you for sticking to facts. It felt like changing a tire on a moving car, unsentimental and necessary. Aunt June responded by assembling a healing dinner at my parents'. Translation. Intervention with casseroles. Ava arrived clutching a pie, face scrubbed, hair in a contrite bun. Caleb came early to explain, wearing a church smile. My dad set his toolbox on the mantel like a bailiff. Mom set out extra forks and said grace over the truth. I didn't do speeches. I plugged a thumb drive into the TV and said, 10 minutes of receipts. Slide 1, hotel confirmation. Slide 2, Amex charges lined up with Ava's Pilates. Slide 3, the soap dish card addressed to Ava plus C. Slide 4, the post-nup clauses, restitution, device transparency, no contact. Ava went through her now familiar weather pattern, brazen, you're humiliating me in front of family, then tears, knees on the rug, palms up, then bargaining, post-nup, passwords, I'll put my paycheck in your account, I'll sleep on the floor, just don't end us. Caleb tried a soft voice sermon, it's not what it looks like. Showers are symbolic. Mom of all people said, showers are plumbing. So are boundaries. Trish exploded into PR mode. This is context-free slander. My daughter is vibrant. Uncle Rob chimed in, boys will be boys, which was confusing even to him. Then, unexpected skeleton, Grandma Ruth, who forgets nothing, squinted at Caleb and said, you pulled this at Cassie's wedding too. Silence sat down between us. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, HR again, please confirm subcontractor's full name. Caleb's face drained like someone pulled his plug. He stood so fast his chair tapped the wall. I need air, he muttered, then made for the door. Dad stepped aside just enough. Aunt June called after him, bike nights canceled, sweetheart. The sarcasm was new. I liked it. Ava crawled the last inches and, yes, kissed the toe of my shoe. Mason, please, she whispered. I'll be holy. I'll be boring. I'll delete the internet. I'll shave my head if you need humble. It would have broken me a month ago. Now it felt like a script with the stage lights stuck on. Here's what's happening, I said, steady. Joint cards are frozen as of now. My half of savings moves per prenup. Tomorrow, Miss Patel files for separation citing dissipation and documented infidelity. Postnup stands if you want any path forward. HR gets facts. No contact with Caleb. No contact with me outside counsel or therapist. Trish scoffed. You'll ruin her career. Mom folded her napkin, surgical neat, and said, she did that. Dad, still by the toolbox, added, we're not leaving loose screws in this house. Ava switched from bargaining to fury in a breath. You're safe, Mason. That's all you'll ever be. The word used to gut me. Tonight it landed empty. I picked up Pixel's leash. He thumped his tail like a gavel. After dinner, Miss Patel called with the calm of a lighthouse. Locks, accounts, paper, she said. Exits, not explosions. I changed my passcodes, scheduled a locksmith, and forwarded HR the subcontractor's info. No adjectives, just a name. At 11:58 p.m., Ava texted from her sisters. 1 week. Please. I typed, deleted, then sent the only sentence I trust. Route through counsel. Pixel curled against my shins like a period at the end of a long, dishonest paragraph. Mediation looked like a dentist's office for vows that didn't hold, beige walls, tissues everywhere, a carafe of coffee pretending to help. Ava arrived in navy and a tight bun, switching from brave to broken every 3 breaths. Before we even sat, she slid from the chair to the carpet, palms up, eyes glossy. Please, Mason. 30 days. I'll be transparent. I'll be new. The mediator blinked like the manual didn't cover kneeling. Miss Patel spoke in clean lines. Our terms remain: restitution per the post-nup, device transparency, no contact with the cousin, therapy with a neutral and temporary separation. Ava nodded, then shook her head, then nodded again. When paperwork appeared, she went sudden brazen. You're punishing me for being honest about needs. Miss Patel tapped the folder labeled timeline. This is not punishment. It is documentation. Midway through, my phone buzzed. HR, subcontractor C. Lane removed from roster pending review. 2 minutes later, Aunt June texted a single victory emoji, a wrench, which I didn't know she had in her toolbox. Family thread pinged nonstop until Mom renamed it quiet, please. Ava's next move came wrapped in urgency. She met me in the lobby with a whisper, I'm late. The word hit me like a dropped elevator. I asked calmly, test? We walked to the drugstore in parallel silence. Under fluorescent lights, she cried pretty tears. The stick read one line and a lesson. She stared, then pivoted to anger. You doubted me. I almost laughed at the math of it. No, I said. I verified. Trish went fully public. Posted a pastel slideshow titled Men Who Fear Vibrant Women. Comments split in half. Cousins with halos, high school friends with popcorn. Then a twist I didn't see coming. Grandma Ruth commented, Vibrant is not the same as faithful, dear. The internet actually paused to sip water. Caleb called my dad to clear the air. Dad put him on speaker and tightened a cabinet hinge that didn't need it. Caleb, he said, voice level, you follow guests to the shower, you don't call the homeowner to negotiate feelings. Click. I wish you could frame a click. HR moved like a metronome. Thank you for your cooperation, legal wrote, which is corporate for your receipts were boring and that saved lives. The subcontractor portal showed Caleb's profile, access suspended. Aunt June printed the screenshot on glossy paper and put it under a magnet shaped like a rooster. I don't know why that detail comforts me, but it does. I needed air that wasn't borrowed from a conference room, so I signed up for a dawn photography class by the river. First morning, fog, gulls, pixel trotting like a small metronome. My hands remembered steadiness that had nothing to do with holding a life together. When the sun pushed through the mist, the teacher said, expose for the sky, let the dark lift later. It felt like advice disguised as aperture. Ava kept oscillating. Night texts. I'm at my sister's, send a photo of Pixel so I can remember family. I sent Pixel sleeping and petty but healing, a second shot of him mid-sneeze with the caption, bless you. She replied with a heart, then minutes later, one dinner? No lawyers. I answered, route through counsel. The last skeleton of the week arrived as an envelope from the HOA. Someone had reported inappropriate use of common areas on parents' night. Attached, a blurry still from the hallway camera, two shapes near the linen closet, one in a blazer. The timestamp matched the night of the shower. Aunt June added it to the rooster board, right under Grandma Ruth's recipe for lemon bars, because life insists on being both sour and sweet. At home, I made a list on the fridge titled Keep, Spine, Peace, Pixel, Morning Light. Under it, Learn, Shoot Manual, Bridge Pose that doesn't creak, 3 new recipes. For the first time in months, the apartment sounded like itself. Not empty, available. I slept, not perfectly but honestly, no rehearsed speeches, no additions. When I woke, I wanted coffee more than closure, and that felt like a small, faithful miracle. 2 days after mediation, Ava tried a front steps performance. Dressed like a movie apology, daisies in one hand, knees on concrete before I even opened the door. 30 days, Mason. I'll be transparent. I'll be new. Her mascara did the usual comments. Behind her, Trish filmed from the sidewalk, actually filmed, until Mom appeared from the driveway with the gentlest sentence I've ever heard delivered like a rule. Put the phone away, Trish. She did, muttering about narratives. Miss Patel emailed the draft memorandum while Ava was still kneeling. Bullet points, no adjectives. I keep the bungalow, the car and Pixel. She reimburses all affair spend on a schedule. No contact outside counsel and therapist. Device transparency during separation. HOA fines assigned to her. I read it on the porch. Ava reached for my wrist. Punitive, she said. Protective, I answered and sent back agree. That night brought the twist I didn't see. Aunt June knocked with a shoebox. Inside, doorbell stills from my parents' house. Timestamp, an hour before the party. Caleb on the porch, looking straight into the camera while fixing his hair with the reflection in the glass. He'd arrived early. June set the photo on our rooster magnet board under lemon bars, like a museum label, premeditation. My dad stood beside me, jaw working. Some wood you can sand, he said. Some you replace. HR closed their loop. Contractor permanently removed. Process improvements implemented. Serena from facilities texted from a personal number. People breathed a little today. It was the strangest relief to know that boring screenshots moved a wall a few inches for strangers. Trish attempted a family circle. She opened with, Mason, forgive my daughter or you'll calcify, and pivoted to a slideshow about curiosity. Grandma Ruth cleared her throat. Curiosity belongs in libraries, she said. Caleb tried to talk. Dad tightened a hinge that wasn't loose, and somehow that finished the argument. Ava's confessions came staccato as the ink dried. First, it was kissing. Then, okay, we showered together once. Minutes later, I panicked after and cried on the bath mat. Finally, the older skeleton, that vendor in Austin years ago, was a gray area. She said gray like it was a color you paint a nursery. Each version arrived with knees, tears, bargains. Each time I heard Miss Patel in my head, exits, not explosions. I kept building a life in the spaces paperwork opened. Dawn photography by the river became a ritual. Tripod, thermos, pixel trotting figure eights. I learned long exposure on the footbridge, let the water smear into silk while the sky blued. The teacher, a retired news shooter, squeezed my shoulder. You have steady hands, he said. I hadn't felt steady in months. It landed like medicine. A small, quiet revenge I recommend. Administration. I moved my direct deposit to a new account, pulled my name off her boutique card, sent a preservation letter to Caleb's employer when he hinted at different versions. I filed the HOA response with documentation so clean they reassigned fines. No speeches. Just dates. The last family dinner before signatures was anticlimactic and seismic. Ava arrived with a casserole and contrition. Halfway through, she slid to the rug. Automatic by now. I'll shave my head. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll do daily therapy. Mom's nurse voice surfaced. Stand up, honey. We make decisions better that way. Ava stood shaking. Dad passed me a pen like a relay baton. I signed the memorandum that night, clean strokes, no flourish. Miss Patel replied, filed. Decree pending. I expected fireworks, what I got was air. Pixel did a lap around the coffee table like he'd been rooting for process. My phone buzzed once more. Ava, one last dinner? I typed the only sentence that keeps saving me. Please. I booked a weekend drive up the coast, fog, cliffs, a motel with a stubborn heater, and tossed the tripod in the trunk. On the way out, I stuck 2 lists to the fridge. Keep spine, peace, pixel, morning light. Learn, shoot manual, bridge pose that doesn't creak, sourdough that actually rises. The hinge dad over-tightened squeaked once, then settled. For the first time since the shower, the house sounded like itself. Not empty, available. The coast trip felt like rinsing a wound with cold salt air. I parked above a crescent of beach, poured coffee from a dented thermos and set the tripod. Long exposure taught me a thing my therapist later underlined. If you keep the camera still, chaos turns into silk. I shot pylons disappearing into fog until my fingers numbed, then let Pixel drag me down the stairs to chase gulls he had no plan for catching. Back at the motel, Miss Patel's email was waiting. Final decree entered. 2 sentences. No exclamation points. A marriage ending as a PDF is unromantic and, to my surprise, merciful. I forwarded it to my parents. Mom replied with a heart and eat. Dad sent a thumbs up and, separately, a photo of a hinge in perfect alignment. The small twists didn't stop, but they lost their teeth. Caleb texted a paragraph labeled closure, equal parts apology and resume. I archived it without opening and mailed his employer the HOA settlement like a period. Trish posted a video about choosing curiosity to a soundtrack of ocean wave stock footage. Grandma Ruth commented, read a book. Ava left daisies on my porch with a note. I picked glitter. You were gold. I placed it in a folder labeled kept, not needed, and went to my class instead of rereading it. Recovery wasn't a montage. It was chores with meaning. I learned to proof yeast without bullying it. I rebuilt the back steps with Dad, measuring twice, cutting once, letting him tell the same story about a summer job in '79 because the telling steadied both of us. I printed my first photo big enough to forgive the flaws and hung it crooked, then straight. Pixel chose the sunniest rectangle on the rug and declared it his office. A month in, I joined a Saturday volunteer crew clearing ivy along the river. That's where I met Claire, ball cap, paint on her knuckles, laugh like a porch. We traded shovel turns and dog stories and nothing else. No timelines, no declarations, just a reminder that some people exist at human speed. The last ripple from Ava's side came by way of Serena. HR rolled out a real policy, not a poster. We breathed, she texted. Administrative revenge isn't flashy, but it keeps strangers safe. I'll take that over a clever monologue any day. If you're reading this at 2 a.m. with your stomach in a fist, here's the map I wish someone slid under my door. Your gut is data. Collect it. Screenshots beat speeches. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're plumbing. Keep the clean water separate. Safe isn't an insult. It's a harbor. Be proud of being steady. Don't duel with rumors. Do paper, timelines, signatures, locks. Healing is craft, not spectacle. A walk, a loaf, a photo, a hinge that doesn't squeak. I started this thinking betrayal would define me. It didn't. Available light did, the kind that shows up every morning if you open the blinds and stand still long enough to see it. Today I taped a new list to the fridge. Next, shoot the bridge at Blue Hour, try a route 1 grade up, call grandma, send mom a picture of bread that actually rose. Pixel approved with a thump of his tail. The house finally is not a stage or a courtroom. It's a dark room, quiet, patient, where the next picture comes up steady in the tray. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.